Eliza Marsh stood before the grand entrance of West Kennet Long Barrow, the morning mist weaving through the ancient stones like a spell. Although archaeologists had unearthed most of its secrets, Eliza, a dedicated historian, was convinced that the barrow held more stories waiting to be told. Armed with her notebook and a sense of adventure, she took a step into the dimly lit passage, her flashlight beam unraveling shadows steeped in time. Beside her, Tom, her graduate assistant, adjusted his backpack. "It's hard to believe this place is over 5,500 years old," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's almost like stepping into another world." Eliza nodded, her fingers brushing against the cool, worn stones. "There's something here," she murmured. "Something people have missed." As they moved deeper, strange symbols etched on the walls caught their attention. Symbols that weren't in any of the textbooks or excavation notes. Eliza sketched them hurriedly, feeling a pulse of excitement. Maybe this was the key to uncovering the barrow's mystery. Suddenly, a soft rustling echoed through the chamber. Eliza and Tom exchanged a quick glance. "Did you hear that?" Tom whispered, his voice tense. "Yeah," Eliza replied, her eyes scanning the shadows. "Stay close, we don't know what's back there." Their footsteps echoed through the silent corridors as they ventured further, each step taking them into deeper mystery. The symbols, the echoing halls, and the sense of something watching the West Kennet Long Barrow was more alive than ever. As Eliza and Tom moved cautiously down the passage, their flashlights casting long shadows along the ancient stones, Eliza suddenly halted. "Look at that," she breathed. Her light focused on a section of the wall that appeared to shimmer under the dust and occasional streaks of moss. Indeed, in the dim glow of their flashlights, they could see an outline. It seemed to be a doorway, sealed with layers of earth and stone that blended seamlessly into the surrounding walls. This hidden passage hinted at secrets beyond their current reach. "A sealed entrance?" Tom mused, stepping closer to run his fingers along the uneven surface. "Why would they close off part of the barrow, and for how long has it been hidden in plain sight?" Eliza nodded, contemplating the implications. "Whatever's behind it, the ancient builders didn't want it to be easily found," she said, shining her light back on the unfamiliar symbols they had passed. They both knew what they had to do to decipher the symbols to understand what lay beyond the door. The carvings might provide clues, warnings, or even instructions. Eliza placed her notebook on a flat surface and began sketching the symbols in more detail, while Tom took pictures and tried to detect any familiar patterns. "We'll have to study these," Eliza stated, her voice a blend of excitement and determination. "These symbols might hold the key to opening the sealed entrance. Let's hope we have enough time." Both worked diligently, their sounds softly blending with the echoes of ancient history. Outside, the mist still curled around the landscape, oblivious to the human drama unfolding within. As they pieced together the mystery of the symbols, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if the very spirits of the barrow demanded their story be known. Eliza studied the symbols with growing fascination, her notes filled with hypotheses and sketches. "Tom, these symbols, they suggest something extraordinary," she began, her voice tinged with disbelief. "They talk about a gateway to another world, some sort of passage beyond our understanding." Tom chuckled lightly, though his curiosity was piqued. "A gateway to another world? That's gotta be ancient superstition, like myths passed down through generations," he suggested, though he couldn't shake a slight thrill at the thought. "Possibly," Eliza agreed, glancing down at her notebook. "But look here, this sequence seems to resonate with something important." The inscriptions detailed a series of symbols that needed to vibrate in harmony. The inscriptions hinted at an ancient process that, if performed correctly, might open the sealed door. "It looks like these symbols need to resonate at a specific frequency to do anything," Eliza added, her voice filled with conviction. "So it's a kind of musical lock?" Tom wondered aloud, examining the surrounding stonework that could hold the answers to activating this ancient technology or superstition. "If we can figure out what resonate means in this context, we might be able to unlock it," Eliza mused. "It's like a code waiting for the right key." With renewed energy, Eliza and Tom set to work, sifting through their tools and resources to come up with a plan to produce the right frequencies. They decided to experiment with tuning forks, guessing that a vibration might correspond to the ancient instructions. As they prepared to test their theory, the sense of anticipation grew. Whatever lay beyond, they were eager to uncover another layer of the West Kennet Long Barrow's mystery. With the tuning forks in hand, Eliza and Tom stood before the symbols, their breath held in anticipation. "All right, let's see if this does anything," Eliza whispered, striking the first tuning fork and placing it near the symbols. The moment the fork resonated, the air around them grew heavy, filled with an ancient, almost sacred vibration. As each symbol began to hum in resonance, a low, eerie groan reverberated throughout the barrow, echoing like a deep sigh from the depths of history itself. "Did you hear that?" Tom gasped, gripping Eliza's arm. The sound was unmistakably a groan, as if the barrow was awakening from a millennia-long slumber. "Stay calm," Eliza said, though she felt her own pulse quicken. "Let's finish the sequence." As they moved through the series, hitting each tuning fork in succession, the groaning intensified. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, hinting at the raw power of whatever they had unlocked. Then, as if in obedience to an unseen force, the sealed entrance began to shift, stones grinding against each other. Eliza Tom's voice was cut off as a powerful vacuum suddenly formed, pulling dust, pebbles, and even the surrounding vegetation towards the opening like a magnet. "Hold on to something," Eliza yelled, grabbing onto a sturdy root jutting from the wall. They struggled to stay grounded as debris swirled around them, drawn towards the unfolding entrance. The barrow seemed alive, demanding respect for its secrets. As the storm of dust and stones finally settled, the entrance stood partially open, revealing a yawning darkness beyond. In the sudden stillness, Eliza and Tom exchanged a glance, excitement overshadowed by the daunting realization that the true mystery had just begun. As the dust settled, Eliza moved cautiously towards the now open entrance, her flashlight cutting through the darkness ahead. The beam soon settled on something that made her pause. "Tom," she called softly, her voice laced with a mix of awe and trepidation. "You need to see this." Tom joined her, and together their flashlights illuminated an astonishing sight. On the ground before them lay skeletal remains, arranged in a circular pattern. They were ancient, almost certainly dating back thousands of years, their bones a testament to rituals of a bygone era. "Incredible," Eliza whispered, the weight of life, history heavy around them. These could belong to a group, maybe a family or a clan, buried together. They might have been guardians or part of some ancient rite. "We've definitely stumbled onto something significant," Tom replied, carefully inspecting the skeletal arrangement. "But we need to be cautious." Understanding the potential dangers and the intricate pathways that lay ahead, they decided to ensure their safety. Eliza retrieved a sturdy rope from her bag and old-fashioned tie linny and secured it around a strong tree outside the barrow's entrance. "This way, we have a physical link to guide us back," Eliza explained, tying the other end around her waist and handing another length to Tom. "Good thinking, Eliza," Tom said, following her lead and securing the line. "It's not as fancy as GPS, but it'll do the job." With the tether in place, they ventured deeper into the unexplored chamber, their steps careful yet determined. The air was cool and still, carrying with it the whispers of ancient stories. Ahead of them lay the promise of discovery and the unknown depths of the past that awaited their unraveling. As Eliza and Tom cautiously ventured further into the depths of the chamber, the darkness seemed to give way to something unexpected. "Tom, do you see that?" Eliza asked, squinting, her flashlight useless against the glow emanating from further ahead. "How is that even possible?" Tom replied, eyes widening in disbelief as they continued towards what seemed to be artificial light. In the middle of a centuries-old burial site, the presence of modern illumination defied logic and stirred their curiosity to a fever pitch. The closer they got, the more apparent it became that the light wasn't a product of their imagination. "It's so strange," Eliza whispered, "as if someone or something has been here recently." As they pressed on, the chamber widened into a larger cavern, and what lay before them was as extraordinary as it was chilling. Scattered around the chamber were pieces of armor, aged but remarkably well preserved. On closer inspection, the designs were reminiscent of the Templar Knights, a surprising and unsettling connection to a medieval order shrouded in mystery. "This is incredible," Tom breathed, gingerly picking up a helmet emblazoned with a faded cross. "To find Templar armor here, perhaps they sought the same secrets we do, or maybe they left something behind." "It makes you wonder," Eliza mused, her mind racing through historical possibilities as she examined a piece of chainmail beside an ornate sword. What were the knights doing here, and could this be linked to the so-called gateway? Amid the artifacts, the eerie light maintained its steady glow, urging them deeper into the mystery. It was becoming clear that the barrow held secrets interconnected across ages, a convergence of histories waiting to be revealed. As Eliza and Tom approached the source of the light, their footsteps cautious on the stone floor, they finally saw what was creating the unearthly glow. Suspended above an ancient stone pedestal was an orb, pulsating and casting lightning-like shards of light in all directions. "This is incredible," Tom murmured, his eyes locked onto the orb's hypnotic dance. "It's like something out of science fiction, but here it is, right before our eyes." "I've never seen anything like it," Eliza added, the soft illumination casting curious patterns on her face. Could this be the gateway the symbols mentioned? As they circled the orb, careful not to touch it, Tom's flashlight caught a glimpse of something carved into the stone pedestal beneath it. "Eliza, look here," he said, excitement lacing his voice. "There's something etched into the rock." Together, they examined the carved word, Grail. The simple yet powerful inscription sent a shiver down Eliza's spine. "The Grailas in the Holy Grail?" she speculated, the implications hovering in the cool air. "That would explain the presence of Templar armor," Tom reasoned. "If they were seeking the Grail, it makes sense they'd come to a place like this, with its supposed gateway to other realms." Eliza nodded, piecing together the ancient puzzle. Could it be that the barrow was a place of pilgrimage for those seeking the Grail, a crossing point between our world and the unknown? She wondered aloud. Before them, the orb continued to emit its entrancing light, a beacon of mystery and ancient aspiration. This deeper discovery painted a picture of zealotry, faith, and unending quest. It demanded respect and deliberate thought from those who dared to unravel such a tale. Drawn by an inexplicable urge to test the phenomena before them, Tom reached out tentatively, his fingers hovering near one of the lightning-like beams emitted by the orb. "Just a quick touch," he rationalized, curiosity overwhelming caution. The moment his fingers grazed one of the illuminated shards, a surge of energy shot through him like a sudden electric jolt. "Ah!" he yelped, pulling back sharp and cradling his hand. "Tom, are you all right?" Eliza gasped, stepping closer to examine his hand. The shock seemed to have left no physical harm, but the look on Tom's face was a mixture of wonder and lingering discomfort. "I'm okay," Tom assured her, shaking off the tingling sensation. "But that thing packs a punch. Best we not touch it again." Turning her attention back to their original discovery, Eliza said, "This Grail connection, if that's genuinely what it is, hints at something far greater than we imagined." She glanced at the armor, the ancient script, and the enigmatic orb, all pieces of a profound puzzle. If the Templar Knights believed the Grail was here, it might actually be the legendary Holy Grail, Tom theorized, the weight of his words filling the chamber. Eliza nodded, heart racing at the possibility. "We need to document everything carefully," she suggested, the seriousness of their discovery asserting itself. This could rewrite historical perceptions about the Grail and the Templars. Together, they decided to approach their find with a meticulous blend of excitement and scholarship, aware that responsibly handling such a discovery was paramount. Their journey had revealed the edge of history's curtain and its potential to unveil more. After Tom's shocking interaction with the orb, Eliza took a step back, her mind swirling with possibilities. "We need to be careful," she said, searching for some explanation. "This orb is clearly more than just a light source. Maybe it's some kind of ancient technology," Tom suggested, rubbing his hand with lingering intrigue. "We can't risk touching it until we understand what it's meant for or capable of." Eliza nodded in agreement, her eyes tracing the patterns of light that danced around the chamber. "We should observe it further, take notes, and see if we can decode anything from these symbols or patterns it projects," she proposed. As they discussed the orb's nature, they couldn't ignore the carved word Grail and its implications. They convinced themselves of a potential connection, the orb possibly serving as a guardian or beacon to something greater, perhaps even the legendary Holy Grail itself. "It's at least worth exploring the connection further," Tom suggested, his mind racing with thoughts of legendary quests and hidden truths. "Agreed," Eliza replied, determination warming her voice. "Before we involve experts, let's gather as much evidence and analysis as we can. Perhaps this chamber holds more clues about the Grail and why it's here." With a tacit decision made, they continued their exploration with renewed focus. They approached each element in the chamber with caution and reverence, aware that every step and discovery could bring them closer to unraveling a secret kept for centuries. Determined to capture the unprecedented findings within the barrow, Eliza and Tom took out their phones, beginning a video record of the mysterious surroundings. "Let's make sure we capture everything," Eliza said, her camera focused on the orb and engraved symbols, while narrating details about their potential connection to the Grail. "If this really is what we think it is, documentation will be vital," Tom agreed, moving his phone's camera slowly across the chamber, from the ancient armor to the glowing orb. After thoroughly recording the scene, Tom's mind circled back to the orb's unique properties. "I have a theory," he began, his gaze intent on the glowing construct. "What if the orb functions as a kind of projector, like projecting images or information on the walls?" Eliza asked, considering the suggestion. "Exactly. The electrical discharges could potentially be connected to a hidden holographic lens," Tom mused, stepping near the orb to further observe its light patterns. With the notion that the orb might not just be an ancient light source, but a device capable of displaying more complex information, Tom methodically examined the setup for any signs a lens or a reflective surface might be hidden within the chamber. "If it's true, perhaps we just need to find the right angle or trigger," Eliza pondered, joining Tom's efforts by inspecting the nearby walls and the orb itself for any overlooked details. Together, they carefully probed their environment, looking for evidence of whatever the orb may reveal. The air was thick with anticipation, each possibility expanding the potential of their remarkable discovery. As Tom experimented with the idea of the orb behaving like a projector, inspiration struck him. "What if we use something to focus the light?" he suggested, his gaze settling on one of the Templar helmets they had found moments before. "The helmet's eye slits," Eliza realized, understanding his line of thought. "It's worth a try." Carefully, Tom picked up the helmet and positioned it over the orb, adjusting it just enough to subtly restrict the electrical emissions. As he did, the chamber filled with a soft hum and an ethereal image began to form, projected through the narrow eye slits in holographic form. "It's working," Eliza said breathlessly, watching as ghostly figures danced upon the stone walls. "Look at that!" The hologram portrayed scenes of what appeared to be Templar knights embarking on a quest, their journeys vividly rendered in light. The images transitioned to show echoes of ceremonies, artifacts, and a distant land that looked like a fabled paradise. "The helmet must be the lens," Tom said, his excitement evident in his voice. "It focuses the orb's light into these images." "This is some sort of record," Eliza added, fascinated by the discovery. "An account of the Templars, the Grail, possibly even their interpretations of paradise." Watching the historical narrative unfold, they knew they had uncovered something beyond extraordinary, a synthesis of faith, technology, and history that transcended time and space. The stories told by the light answered countless questions, but sparked new mysteries yet to be explored. As the holographic display unfolded before them, the scope of what Eliza and Tom were witnessing became clearer. "This isn't just a record of the Templars," Eliza said, her voice filled with awe. "It's a comprehensive history of the universe." "The orb is telling us that the universe itself is the real Holy Grail," Tom murmured, his eyes wide with understanding. "It explains that all of existence, everything we've ever known, is connected. Early humans created deities to make sense of things beyond their understanding," Eliza continued, echoing the message imparted through the orb's mind waves. "Now, with this revelation, everything changes. This understanding transcends all religions and beliefs." As the implications of this extraordinary truth sank in, they both realized the global impact it could have. Eliza and Tom knew they had a responsibility to share this newfound wisdom. It wasn't just about history. It was a message that could reshape humanity's understanding of itself and its place in the universe. "We have to get the message out to the world," Tom urged, the urgency in his voice mirrored by the significance of their discovery. This revelation could shift perspectives and beliefs for billions of people. "We need to document this thoroughly," Eliza agreed, stepping back to capture more of the projection with her camera. "What we've discovered here is beyond anything we could have imagined." Knowing their task was monumental, they prepared to meticulously document and carefully present their findings to the world. The revelation they unearthed at the West Kennet Long Barrow had the power to unite or divide. It was a truth that required thoughtful stewardship as they prepared to share it with humanity. Realizing the gravity of their findings, Eliza and Tom carefully considered how best to disseminate this transformative information. "If we want to ensure the message is received responsibly, we should present our evidence at the United Nations," Eliza suggested, her voice steady yet contemplative. "Good plan," Tom replied. "The UN is the right global platform to convey such an important discovery. This needs to reach world leaders, scientists, and religious representatives in a manner that encourages dialogue, not division." Conscious of the potential sensitivity of their revelation, they meticulously prepared an exhaustive presentation. The footage from their phones detailed the orb's projections and was augmented with contextual explanations, providing a cohesive narrative that illustrated the connection between the universe and humanity's spiritual endeavors. "We need to go to great lengths to draw a connection between the truth of our discovery and established religions," Eliza emphasized, arranging their notes and supplementary materials. "It's important to show respect for existing beliefs while presenting this new perspective." "Exactly," Tom agreed. "We must emphasize that this doesn't dismiss the religious experiences and histories of billions, but rather expands upon them by converging science with spirituality." However, they understood the challenges ahead. Conveying such a paradigm-shifting message was bound to meet with skepticism and resistance. Skeptics might doubt the authenticity of their discovery, while religious leaders could perceive it as a threat to the foundations of their faith. Nevertheless, Eliza and Tom steeled themselves for these challenges, ready to take their place on the global stage. They were committed to promoting unity and understanding, optimistic that their discovery could catalyze a deeper, more profound appreciation of humanity's place in the cosmos. Understanding the complexities of the modern post-truth world, where polarization and skepticism often greet new ideas, Eliza and Tom acknowledged the challenges they would face. "We know skepticism is inevitable," Eliza noted, organizing folders filled with their evidence. "But our best course is transparency. We'll publish all our data and video evidence, allowing people to scrutinize and decide for themselves based on factual evidence." "Right," Tom agreed, backing up files and finalizing details. "Our goal isn't to convince the skeptics outright, but to offer undeniable evidence and let the world see the truth through their own lens." By making all their findings accessible, they hope to foster informed discussions, welcoming scientific reviews and theological debates alike. They were prepared to engage with both scientists and religious leaders, addressing questions with the weight of their comprehensive research. "We must be ready for diverse reactions," Eliza remarked. "While our aim is unity, we anticipate a mix of disbelief and maybe even hostility from some religious factions. Nevertheless, our objective is to open pathways for dialogue and discovery." "We can expect applause from scientific communities," Tom added, hopeful yet cautious. They might see this as a groundbreaking convergence of disciplines, where science and spirituality intersect. As they prepared for their presentation, Eliza and Tom envisioned a world responding with a wide spectrum of emotions. Some would resist, clinging to established doctrines, while others, more aligned with empirical proof, might embrace this new understanding as a leap forward. They understood that the journey toward acceptance would be complex and multifaceted, but with the determined belief that knowledge and open conversation could bridge divides, they readied themselves to step into the global arena. Anticipating potential backlash or misunderstanding, Eliza and Tom took proactive steps to ensure their revolutionary findings would resonate with a broad audience. We'll need to enlist professionals who can articulate the nuances of our discovery, Eliza suggested thoughtfully, and perhaps even a few celebrities who can help translate the scientific aspects into layman's terms. Seeing familiar faces and trusted experts could make our message more relatable. Tom acknowledged, reaching out to contacts within the scientific and public relations communities. Their involvement can bridge the gap between complex data and everyday understanding. By assembling a team of skilled communicators, respected scientists, and influential public figures, they aim to disseminate their findings in digestible formats, making the information accessible without diluting its significance. In terms of long-term impact, Eliza and Tom envisioned a monumental shift in the world's philosophical and spiritual paradigms. If we can realign the religious interpretation of God from a reigning deity to the encompassing universe, Eliza mused, then perhaps we can harmonize religious belief with scientific proof. It could foster a unified understanding of our origin. Removing the tension between faith and science might pave the way for a world where religious conflicts diminish, Tom added, inspired by the potential for global peace and cooperation. With a shared vision of the universe as our Holy Grail, humanity might finally embrace its interconnectedness, Eliza suggested. We're not just looking at a scientific advancement, but a social revolution. They hoped their discovery would catalyze future scientific and religious dialogues, encouraging a collaborative pursuit of knowledge and a deeper appreciation for the mysteries that bind us all. In their hearts, they believed such unity was possible and worth striving for.